guys, and welcome to another episode of Now Showing with
John
and Cam. And this is a very special episode because today we are doing the top 5 supernatural episodes of all time, at least in our opinion. And I have to say, this is a very special episode, yet a very hard episode for me to do because this is my all-time favorite television show. Not just horror television show, but favorite television show. And just a quick preface before we get started with the countdown. Supernatural is going on its 15th and final season, and I'm having the hardest time coping with this because for the last almost now 15 years I have been watching this show since the very beginning.
He's cried on my shoulder a couple times over this.
I might during this episode, so stay tuned for that. So you're talking about going into 15 seasons worth of material. To try to limit 5 episodes when I've loved almost every single one is extremely hard to do. And another funny backstory is, like I said, I've been watching Supernatural since it began. And if
I also have been watching it since it began. That's a total lie.
Total lie. Because what I was leading to is the fact that when we started working together, every day when we would talk about our favorite movies or TV shows, I would hound this guy to watch Supernatural. And he sort of heard the same sort of stigmas about it that I've gotten from other people over the years. Well, I've heard of that show, but isn't that kind of a chick show? Isn't it about like 2 dudes that chicks find attractive or whatever? And I'm like, no, this is not a chick show at all. I mean, of course, chicks like this show, and they should, but this is everything that a horror fan would want. And not even just horror fans. It's such good storytelling and acting that anyone could enjoy it, even if you're not traditionally a horror fan. So I begged him for months and months, please give it a try. I know there's 14 seasons worth of watching here, but just give it a try.
You need to catch up so we can watch the final season together.
Correct. So this guy started watching it, was it this spring?
Yeah, it was definitely this spring. I can't think of an exact month.
And he had to get through 14 seasons, so odds are he probably wouldn't be able to get it all done and before this new season's about to start. Would he?
No, I binged the shit out of it.
Yes, he did.
I am completely 100% caught up in probably roughly 3 months, 15 seasons done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was instantly hooked, and now for the longest time, he's like, "Is this your favorite show yet? Is it at least in your top 3?" I was like, "It's tickling the top 3. It's now tickling number 1. It's still, but I mean, it's probably, I'd have to say it's probably my number 1 now. Like it's that good. Like it really is. They do so many good things. Like it's not just like the action, the horror. It's the background that they do, the storytelling, the risks that they take, the different types of episodes they do.
Yeah,
but we'll get more into that.
And don't be intimidated if you have not watched Supernatural that there is going to be 15 seasons worth of watching.
That just means you have 15 seasons of enjoyment.
And it flows so well. Just a quick story, if you're not familiar with the show, 2 brothers named Sam and Dean, when they were little, something tragic happened to their mother, something supernatural. It led their dad to start hunting and trying to kill the evil forces that are out there in the world. Demons, ghosts, werewolves, vampires, they all exist in the world of Supernatural, but most people don't know that. So the dad teaches the brothers as they get older to fight against the monsters, the bad things that are out there. One of the brothers wants to do that. The other brother, as they get into their late teen years, decides he wants to leave and go off to college. Well, something happens. Their dad goes missing. So the one brother who continued to hunt with his father, Dean, goes to his brother Sam, who he hasn't seen in quite a while, and tells him, "I need you to help me find Dad," which brings him back into the world of hunting. So the show begins with them trying to find the mystery of what happened to their father, with each episode hunting.
Sam, Dad went on a hunting trip and he hasn't been back in a while.
Yes. Classic line. If you watch it, you'll know what he's talking about. And so you will trace them. And of course, so many things unfold and it just developing into a bigger and bigger story. And there would be way too much ground to cover right now. We hope once Supernatural does come to its end this spring, which I'm not looking forward to at some point do a a multi-video session where we're
There
going
will
to
be
talk about
a lot on this channel to do
a supernatural. Yeah, this is not the only supernatural video you're going to see. So if you're a supernatural fan, keep tuning in because there will be plenty more. But for today, we wanted to at least give our 5 best episodes so far through 14 seasons. And like I said, it was very hard to do.
We've been doing quite a few like top 5s and looking at things. I have to say, hands down, this was the hardest top 5 to come up with.
And I really just keep, even now I'm looking at it, I'm like, but maybe I want to go with this. So, I'm sure it will change, and I'm sure we'll do another one once the series is done. But I'll let John start us off here. I'm very interested to hear his. Let's see what his number 5 greatest supernatural episode is.
All right. So, my number 5 is season 11, episode 4. A lot of you will know it better as Baby. When I said that this show takes a lot of risks, what I meant is this episode is one of those ones that they kind of took a risk on. The entire episode is shot from the perspective of the car they drive, which is a 67 Impala.
You can see the model of it here.
It is right there in the front
there.
and the Funko. So what I mean by that, it is completely shot from angles from the car, from the inside, from the outside. The entire episode is basically what the car sees, and it makes you realize how much of a character the car really is. It's not just a mode of transportation, how much the car truly means to them. If you watch the show, you realize that it's not just their mode of transportation, it's their home a lot of the time. It's a connection to their family. It's memories. There's so much, and the way they shoot this episode, because like I said, I just recently I got into it, and he was telling me episodes that I can't wait till you get to this episode. It's gonna blow you away. This is one of them, and he kind of told me it's shot from the perspective of the car, and I'm like, how is that even going? I don't see this being that good. I got done watching it, and we want to, for a lot of the videos, refrain from spoilers, but the ending of that episode, how they tie so many different things, my jaw was dropped. How amazing, taking that risk of, hey, we're going to do an episode, and the car is going to be the focal point. All the shots are going to be...
the protagonist of the episode.
It's crazy. So yeah, my number 5 is Baby.
So... basically, Baby was my number 5 pick too, as crazy as it sounds. We don't go over each other's list with each other. That's the honest truth. We don't know what we're going to pick, which is what makes it really interesting. Now, I had Baby as my number 5, but I sort of cheated. I don't know how many lists I'm going to get away with cheating here with doing ties. Yeah, I do ties way too much. Eventually I'm going to have to stop.
The
but
ties.
My number
I'm
5.
the entire series.
Yes, my number 5 is every single episode other than my other 4. No. So I wrote down 2 in my number 5 slot, and one of them is Baby. So I mean, he pretty much covered everything you could say about it. But just to add a few words, yes, the car. For those of you who still might be like, well, what's the big deal about a car? The Impala. It's the brother Dean. It's his car. And it was their father's car, passed down to Dean, and he treats that car like royalty. If anything bad happens to it, it's like losing a family member.
Let's put it this way: he treats, actually not even. I was gonna say he treats Sam better than the car, but honestly, some of the episodes the car might be a little more important to him.
Yeah, really.
Like Sam and Baby. Those are
it's back and forth.
I mean, the car has a name. Let's just
and the car's been there with them through all of these battles. It's gone through a lot of the same destruction that they've been through.
It always gets rebuilt.
And it always gets rebuilt. It always comes back, and it's always part of their life. So you're actually watching this episode from the point of the car, and you find out that in a way this car isn't just a car. It's been with them, and it's actually helping them without them really realizing it and doing things. So without getting into spoiler territory, but you have to check out that episode. But the other episode I have written in at number 5, because I could not put it on the list because it's just too important, is actually from the most recent season of Supernatural, season 14. And that is an episode titled Lebanon. And the reason why this episode had to make my list is because this is the episode where Spoiler alert. I can't avoid not saying a spoiler on this one. So, spoiler alert. I'm going to put my thumbs up to let you know the spoiler's starting. And if you don't want to hear it, I'll put my thumbs up again when it's over. But after nearly 13 seasons of never seeing their father, John Winchester, he finally comes back to Supernatural. And you finally get to see him. I won't say how, why, and it was such an emotional episode. Man, I had tears in my eyes. I'm not going to lie.
Right?
It was their 300th episode, too, so that goes to tell you. And just amazing. Their father is played by actor Jeffrey Dean Morgan. So, of course, he's very...
You might know him.
He's very busy doing The Walking Dead and films. So the fact that they were able to get him to come back for one episode just so we can see him one more time, it was unbelievable. It was amazing. And anyone who's watching this and watches Supernatural, I'm sure you know how important that episode was. So I could not leave it off the list. So that's why I had to put it in there at my number 5. Spoiler time is over. But Lebanon, number 5 alongside Baby.
Correct. And I can allow you to cheat one more time, I guess.
It'll happen again in the next video.
Alright, so my number 4, I guarantee is not on a lot of people's lists. I know it's not on this guy's. My number 4,
You don't know that.
Season 4, Episode 5, Monster Movie.
It's not on mine. But...
I knew it wasn't, and it's not going to be on a lot of people's, but the reason that it's on mine is I love old black and white movies. I love old Universal monsters. That is what you get in this episode.
It's cool.
It's completely shot in black and white, old school timey, and the basically
Oktoberfest.
yeah, it's at
In
Oktoberfest
Pennsylvania,
in
too.
Pennsylvania. We're from Pittsburgh.
Zombie capital of the world. We have to keep
Yeah,
doing that.
we
I
have,
apologize.
every
It's just-
we're gonna do that a
it's
lot.
a reflex. It just comes out.
And so we all know Cam's the bigger, so I'm actually gonna pick his brain because I don't want to talk out of my ass.
Yeah,
They're
but-
not actual universal monsters. They're not actually vampires. It's, if I'm not mistaken, he'll correct me if I'm wrong, it was a shapeshifter
correct.
that was basically
Taking the
obsessed
role
with,
of these,
and he was using those to basically
to
take
kill
the
his
form to
victims.
kill his victims.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
But
yeah,
yeah,
the
just
thing-
on my love and the nostalgic feel that episode gave me is why it had to be on my list. So.
It is an awesome episode, and yeah, it didn't make my list, but like I said, I could put every episode because honestly, there's really, I'm telling you guys, there's not really any bad episodes of Supernatural. There's ones that are better than the other,
Bugs.
but even Bugs isn't terrible. It's just not as good as a lot of the other episodes. But I would still hold it to
the
other.
least popular episode.
Yeah,
But
it is. And that's my next. No, I'm just kidding. My number 4 is a very popular episode. If I had to, I should ask my wife because this is probably right near her number 1. Actually, my number 4 comes from season 3, which was just popping out gold episodes left and right. But my number 4 is Mystery Spot. Mystery Spot is literally an episode that you will want to watch over and over again. Basically, Sam and Dean go to investigate a town where people are being murdered inside of this sort of like funhouse type place called the Mystery Spot. And when they get there, something crazy happens. Somehow, Dean dies, right? But when he dies, Sam wakes up. And when he wakes up, the alarm clock goes off and it's playing the song.
Oh, wait, real quick. Spoilers.
Alarm clock, heat of the moment's playing. Sam's like, what the heck just happened? Okay, that was a... I'm not going to try to sing. We'll lose viewers very quickly. But Sam's like, whoa, that was a crazy dream. So then they go out the next day, and guess what? Spoiler alert, Dean dies again. And the whole episode is different, in a different way. Dean keeps dying over and over, and Sam is trapped in this time loop to where he wakes up, the same thing happens, and this goes on and on and on. And you have to figure out the mystery of why this is happening, why are they trapped in this time loop. It has a fantastic ending of why it's happening and how it's happening, and just the creative ways in which they kill Dean. And Jared Padalecki, who plays Sam, I think it might even, yeah, it's more, yeah. And Jared Padalecki, who plays Sam, his acting in this, of his frustration of having to live through this, and every day Dean's just happy and ready to go because he doesn't realize it's happening over and over again. It's phenomenal. It's hilarious. You will laugh. Mystery Spot, definitely one of my favorite episodes.
When Sam tries to prevent it and like it finds another way. Like,
it's good. It's very good.
All right, so that was what, 4?
That was
so
4.
we're on number 3. My number 3 is an episode that we literally just got done talking about. So my number 3 is Mystery Spot.
There you go.
So pretty much everything that he just said. It's just a amazing episode.
Do you have a favorite one of Dean's deaths in that? Without, I mean, spoiler territory,
We're
but
back into spoiler territory.
I don't know if
what gets dropped on him?
a piano.
A piano. I thought it was a piano. I didn't want to say. I feel like that's probably one of my favorite, just because it gives you that like Hanna-Barbera, Looney Tunes type of like, and it's just
that's definitely one of my favorites, and I really like the point where like Sam's getting frustrated because no matter what he does, he can't stop it. And there's that one point where they walk past the lady and her little dog.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a poodle style dog, and like Sam's like thinking like what could go wrong, and it just shows Dean going up to this little dog going, "Oh, hi puppy," and then it just cuts to Sam waking up because obviously somehow that little puppy just killed Dean in some way. So it's just it's crazy, it's hilarious. But yeah, I mean that's crazy. You had it right there in your number 3, but it's that good of an episode. There's a reason why it's on both of our lists. Trust me. Okay, so my number 3 is not going to be, it wouldn't be on a lot of people's list too. I doubt it'll be on this guy's list, and I really don't know why it's always been one of my favorite episodes, but it just is. And it is from season 2, and the episode is titled What Is and What Should Never Be. This episode is about a jinn, which a jinn is like a genie, a dark genie. And in the episode, Dean is investigating this jinn, and he gets put under the jinn spell, which he doesn't realize. And what the jinn does is basically puts people in a sleep, but while they're in a sleep, they dream of the life they wish they were living. And meanwhile, while they're in this dream state and everything's great, the jinn is actually sucking the life force and the blood source out from their body. But the whole episode is mainly Dean living out this dream life. And in this dream life, you know, his mom's still alive. He lives at home with her. He's happy. He's not hunting monsters. There's a great scene where he's out cutting grass, just waving at the neighbors because he's living a normal life. Him and Sam aren't close in this life, but at least Sam's happy in the life he's living, which is truly what Dean wants. And but he starts to notice throughout the episode as you keeps playing forward that something's not right here, and he starts picking up on little things. And in reality, it's can he figure out what's going on in time? What is this real? Is this not? Before he actually dies in real life. And I don't know why, but it's always been one of my favorite episodes. I think I just like the side of getting to see them live a normal life, even though it's fake, and just the whole story and the lore behind it and the jinn. It's always been one of my favorite episodes. So yeah, my number 3 is What Is and What Should Never Be from season 2.
Definitely didn't make mine, but that is definitely a really good episode. So my number 2 might be a little surprising to some people, but so in the first 5 seasons they all get tied together, and you get spoilers. Hey, you get introduced to the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
Yep.
And I love the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, whether it's in this, X-Men. So in this one, famine steals it for me. So there's an episode called My Bloody Valentine. It was season 5, episode 14. And it's basically the episode where you find famine. Basically, the episode starts off, and that's really what grabbed me. It's Valentine's Day, surprise. To a couple, they start getting hot and heavy, and you're like, oh, it's a sex scene. Next thing you know, they start just eating each other. Literally, like, passionately, just violently ripping the skin off of each other. They're literally eating
crazy.
each other alive. Like, I was like, what the hell is going on? And from there on, so basically famine takes, like, and gives you just, you know, if it, like, you're starving, but it's not just like you're hungry for food. They do play on that. One of Castiel, he can't stop eating hamburgers. And like that's where he notices like there's something wrong, there's something going on.
Yeah.
Sam, I'm not going to tell you what happens with Sam because it's too much of a spoiler to an extent, and I can't tell you really what happens with Dean because that is also a spoiler. But I just love that episode. I thought it was an ingenious way of kind of
Presenting
doing
famine,
famine. I thought it was the best one of all of them. They did do a good job with death. They did a good job with war and pestilence, but famine by far, and just the overall of that episode, and just the fact of little fun fact for you. Jensen Ackles, who plays Dean, was also he also starred in a little movie called My Bloody Valentine.
Yep.
It was a little nod to that. Yeah, the remake of it, not the original. So that was kind of another little play. And I just want to give you one of my favorite quotes. I do have to look and read, but it is basically Dean is talking to Castiel, and he's like, "How many hamburgers have you had?" And Castiel's like, "I'm not sure, but it's got to be well over 100." So
yeah, that's a funny part.
And
of
if
that
you know
episode.
who Castiel is, it makes sense. Like
Yeah.
he's an angel. It's not like
Yeah, so everything he says is just blunt because he's not supposed to be comedic because he's so straightforward.
but it just
But
comes
it's hilarious.
off.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah,
that's
that
an
would be
awesome episode.
my number 2 is My Bloody Valentine.
My number 2 is actually a season finale episode. My number 2 is actually titled No Rest for the Wicked, and it is the season finale of season 3. And the reason why I have this episode so high on my list was because season 3, although it was the shortest season due to a writer's strike, it was cut down from 22 episodes, which was the normal run, to 16. It's still one of the strongest seasons by far. Every episode in season 3 really, really hits the mark. And the main concept of season 3, slight spoiler territory here, is that at the end of season 2, Dean makes a major, major deal. That his payment for the deal is that he only gets 1 year to live. So the whole concept of season 3 is to try to find a way to get Dean out of this deal so that he doesn't have to die. So at the end of season 3, you have, you're on the edge of your seat as to what's going to happen. Are they really going to kill Dean? I mean, he's one of the 2 brothers, or are they going to get him out of the deal? Which, of course, you're going to assume they're going to get him out of the deal. And they're going after this demon named Lilith, who's one of the most powerful demons of hell, and she happens to be taking over the body of a small child inside of this a normal suburban household, and this child who is possessed by the demon Lilith is holding her family hostage, and it's a creepy scene.
It's really
when
well
you
done.
first see Lilith in this. So Sam and Dean go to this house.
She's covered in blood, just walking
Yeah.
around. Like, it's
Yeah, and they go to this house for this battle with Lilith to try to get out of this deal. And let me tell you right now, the ending is going to shock you. And let me tell you, for any of you who watched Supernatural season finale of season 3 when it was on TV, I'm sure you had the same reaction I did. You couldn't believe the ending. You couldn't believe that they actually pulled the trigger with it. And you also couldn't wait for season 4 to start because you thought, where do we go from here? Because the ending literally, without saying too much, just think of like a Hellraiser type scenario here with In Chains. It's crazy, and it's always been an episode that's been one of my favorites just because of the emotion it struck when I watched it live, and it really is a great episode too, and it's such a big payoff to that whole season. So my number 2 is No Rest for the Wicked. Now, before you say your number 1,
it's really weird. I was like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna do something. I'm gonna count
Yeah.
to 3. 1, 2, 3, and we just
because
say it.
I think
Because I
we
have a
both
feeling
think.
that we have to. It has
Let
to
me
be
ask
the
you
same.
this: does your number 1, the title, 2 words that both start with S?
Yes.
Okay, so I think we should just do our number 1 together
Yep.
because it would make sense, and
Yeah.
I'll let you go ahead and announce it.
All right. So, you can't go with a different episode. So our number 1, season 5, episode 22, just happens to be the season finale, Swan Song.
Yes.
Like I said earlier, I kind of mentioned it. The first 5 were what Supernatural was supposed to be. It was supposed to end there, but it was back then. It was the WB. They're like, no, we can't have this. Like, we need to extend it. So that's where you got like season 6 up till today. So it was supposed to end there. So just thinking about that alone, because if you know how it ends, like Sam doesn't come back, all these type of thing, and it would have just been like, holy shit, like that's. But it's literally what you were just building up for 5 seasons. For him, it was probably a little more traumatic.
Yeah.
For me, it was just sitting at the edge of my seat. I should go to bed. I gotta work tomorrow. I should get some sleep. All right. After this next episode, oh shit, it ended like that. What? Like.
Yeah. Eric Kripke, the creator of Supernatural, he originally always intended, like John said, to make 5 seasons. He had most of the story sort of planned out in his head where he wanted it to go, and everything from season 1 up through season 5, everything built in layers, and it all worked so perfectly. They would tie things that they left open from the first couple seasons in season 4, in season 5, and it all led to a giant battle of good versus evil, Lucifer on Earth, and it was the biggest battle you could ever imagine. And
the devil versus Michael.
Yeah, the devil versus the Archangel Michael. And unfortunately, once again, I'm sorry we're spoiling here, but we can't avoid it.
Yeah, this is a spoiler video.
Yeah. So and we'll make sure to put in the caption spoilers, because I don't want to ruin it for anyone. But Lucifer possesses Sam, which was his plan all along. And Dean is supposed to be the one to get possessed by Michael, which is what heaven intended, and have them battle. Dean refuses that, so someone else, we won't get into that, takes over that role. But everything leads to this giant battle in a cemetery, and there is a scene near the end where Sam, who is Lucifer at this point, is just beating the hell out of Dean up against the Impala. And
it's okay,
Sam. And Dean just looks at him, he's like, it's okay, Sam, like, because he's about to kill him, and it triggers this moment where Sam's starting to be able to remember who he is, and it's such a beautiful scene. It'd be hard to find a scene that's better.
Yeah.
And just the way that ended, it's the way the show was originally supposed to end, but then they add this cliffhanger on the end because, like John said, the show was so popular, and the president of the network loved the show so much he didn't want to see it end. So even though Eric Kripke was walking away and some of the executive producers were taking over, they decided to continue, and thank God they did.
Yeah.
But they ended it on a cliffhanger, which they weren't going to do. And when you see this cliffhanger, I remember watching it that night, me and my wife, and we were like, oh my god, we can't wait for season 6. So that summer just dragged till we could get to season 6. But it's the most beautifully shot episode. It ties 4 or 5 seasons worth of storyline together. And don't be worried, the show still stayed phenomenal after that. The first 5 seasons overall, if you had to pick, they're the best. But the show has still been fantastic.
And they're still pulling from stuff from the first 5.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
And the way this last season just ended, which we'll talk about in another episode, I've never been more excited going into this final season. So.
And then, Swan Song has one of the most iconic moments. We kind of mentioned that Castiel, Misha Collins, he's a very straightforward, just blunt. He comes up and he's trying to be a badass in the moment. And what does he come up with? Hey, ass butt.
Yeah, literally, because that's a Dean or something that Dean had said to him before. So he walks up, hey, ass butt, and it's that's what he calls the devil, and it's fantastic. And
then shit just goes downhill from there.
Yeah.
So.
But I had a feeling that was going to be your number one. I mean, it's a lot of if you're a Supernatural fan, it's probably your number one. But if it's not, definitely let us know in the comments. We'd love to see what your top 5 are, or what your greatest episode is. And like we said, also we're going to have a ton of Supernatural episodes, over the years on this for sure. Especially once the season comes to a close. I'm not looking forward to that, but we're going to do our ranking we plan later after the show comes to close of our seasons, ranking from all 15 from worst to best, which I hate using the word worst because there's no bad ones really. But this was a lot of fun to do. It was a lot. It was difficult to do, but we had a lot of fun doing it. So definitely let us know if you're a Supernatural fan, and of course, please, if you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, leave some comments, and we'll certainly be back with a lot more countdowns and footage coming up for you guys real soon. So thanks for tuning in to another episode of Now Showing with
John
and Ken.